Still right here on Politics Today. We've been joined in the program by former Commissioner for Information in Rivers State and former Managing Director of the NDDC, Mrs. Ibim Semenitari. She joins us via Zoom. Ms. Temtari, thank you so much for coming on the program. It's good to see you.
Thank you. It's good to see you too.
Help us make sense of this new round of, we'll call it face-off in the polity, the latest being the pronouncement by the former governor of Peter Odili that Governor Fubara is the leader of the party. And in another part of town, I think the chairman of MOI local government, Chidi Lloyd, and the former chief of staff, who is also a cabinet member under Governor Fubara, recognizing that the FCT minister is the leader of the party. It looks like there's a battle over who is the leader of the party, similar to what's going on in Benue. But I need you to take a listen to this, and then you respond to the question.
Funny to see that instead of people focusing on governance, focusing on delivering and discharging the responsibility with which they sought for vote and they were voted for. All you hear every day is that Wike did not do this and Wike did not do that. Is Wike still the governor of Rivers
State? Semenitari, it's up to you now.
Yes, yes. Yeah, good evening. I think that there really isn't much to add to what His Excellency said, Dr. Peter Odili has said. He has served as governor, and he does know the constitution of the People's Democratic Party. It is a no-brainer that the governor is the leader of the party. I'm sure if you check on some of your clips, if you go back, you would have found one or two situations where the former governor, the current FCT minister, had indeed said that the new governor was now the leader of the party. He did say that it didn't matter his age or whatever, but that now all of us should follow Governor Siminalayi Fubara. And I think that just makes sense. So I do not think that those who are having this argument about leadership of it, I think that the point really is one that doesn't need overflogging. It is clear that the governor of the state is the leader of the party. That's the practice, that's the convention, that's what the constitution says, of the party says. So I don't think there's much that we should be debating here.
You know, it may not have been a debate, if not that all of this is affecting the posture, the texture, if you will, the outlook of the governance space in Rivers State. The system is getting heated up, something goes down, comes up because of this argument, which is why we are bringing this to the fore, and which is why we keep asking this question. You have been a commissioner under a previous administration. Now, I don't know what you make of a situation where a commissioner in your cabinet, this time now I'm talking about Emeka Nwoke, who we played his clip, making that assertion, and he's serving under the governor Siminalayi Fubara. What do you make of that relationship within the cabinet?
Well, you know, it's an unfortunate turn of events, but part of what that shows is the fact that the current governor is clearly a man of peace. Because I'm not sure any of the previous governors of Rivers State that I happen to know or have served under would tolerate that. They certainly wouldn't. A member of a cabinet serves at the pleasure of the governor. And this is really the way it is. If you serve as commissioner, you are nominated by the governor. You are there to support the governor, to give him advice with regards to your ministry, and indeed you serve at his pleasure. We do have, unfortunately, a situation in Rivers State where there was a political situation, attempted political situation to resolve the issues. And the governor of Rivers State, Siminalayi Fubara, GSSRS, indeed appears to have decided to toe that line of peace in keeping, I think, with some political arrangements that he may have said, okay, we don't want to overheat the polity. And consistently, he appears to continue to say, I don't want to overheat the polity. I want to focus on delivering the dividends of democracy to Rivers people. I want to focus on meeting my obligations to the people who have gone out on a limb to elect me as governor. I want to make sure that those things I have promised in my manifesto, I deliver. And you see a man who is consistently trying to do this and who is trying his best not to be distracted by a lot of the side commentary that is going on.
At the end of the day, how long do you think he can bear this? Because recently we saw him come out and speak in a way we haven't seen him speak in a long while. He said nobody should dare him, that its simplicity should not be mistaken for stupidity. So how long do you think, from your point of view, the governor can continue to bear all of this? Because we're concerned about the peace and security of the state.
Well, I hope that, I mean, it's clear. It's clear.
Oh dear.
It's clear that there is this attempt to force him to force him into a battle, as it were. I am glad that he has continued to maintain a stance, leadership, and servitude.
Okay, we seem to be having a bit of technical glitch.
You know what?
Okay, network glitch.
Rivers State. I'm elected to serve Rivers people. I will not destroy the state, and I will not. You know, it's pretty much. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear you now. At some point, the connection was giving us some problem, but we can hear you loud and clear. Maybe you can just round up what you're saying.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, I'm just saying, you know, it really reminds one of the proverbial Solomon and the two women who were arguing over the baby, and the fact that the woman who owns the baby never wants to destroy her child. I think that's what we have here. We have a governor who knows that he was elected and holds the mandate of Rivers people, and he will not destroy Rivers State, not even when he's pushed to the wall by, quite frankly, people who are not governor of the state.
All right, so let's take, there's a clip of the former Minister of Transportation, who is one of the PDP leaders in Rivers State. I hope he's ready now. I want you to take a listen to what Dr. Sekibor had to say today.
I personally pray that there will be no breakdown of law and order. The only person who wants a breakdown of law and order is the FCT minister, Wike. And if he decides to bring it on, we will give it to him. We are not going to run away from it. Nobody, no matter who you are, can threaten us in this state. All of us own this state. But if anybody feels that because he was given an appointment in Abuja, he will use it to destabilize the state, we will show him that he cannot.
Those are the rhetorics coming out. And I can see where we're asking the questions. How would you respond to this?
Well, I think that I'd continue to say, for us in Rivers State, as a Rivers person, as someone who is a stakeholder in Rivers State, I certainly don't want a breakdown of law and order. I am glad that I have a governor who is consistent with his determination not to allow a breakdown of law and order. It is unfortunate that anyone would started trying to get a governor out nearly 4 months after the man took an oath of office. It's ridiculous. Who does that? It's never happened anywhere else. And I think that that is part of the problem. I think that well-meaning Nigerians and well-meaning Rivers people have continued to toe the line of peace. And Chief Dr. Sekibor was speaking from a point of view of an elder statesman who is certainly not pleased at the kinds of rhetorics also coming out from people who should know better. So let's say that we have a governor who doesn't want a problem. It isn't that he can't. I mean, the power of the governor is quite enormous, as those who have held that position well know themselves. But I think it is a good thing to see someone who has power and can use it, but pretty much doesn't want to overturn the apple cart. Again, you know, and forgive my references to the scriptures, but it reminds you of when people said to Jesus, you know, you can call down fire from heaven. And he said, no, there's no need to do that. When you are a tiger, you don't need to proclaim your tigritude.
So whilst he's trying to keep the gentle posture and keeping the peace, which is quite commendable, the House of Assembly, led by Mr. Martins Amewule, has said that, look, if you don't follow through with the Peace Pact, I always have it here whenever I talk about Rivers State, 8 provisions or resolutions or Peace Pact, as they call it, we may have to initiate that impeachment proceeding yet again. My question is, madam, if they stay true to their word.
The problem I have with this is,
go ahead.
The problem I have with this is whether constitutionally they can actually call themselves assembly members. And I don't want to be in breach of the Constitution. I'm not a lawyer, but I think that what the Supreme Court just showed us with the case of Cross River State is that if you're elected on that PDP, you cannot move to APC and continue to call yourself a legislator. So I would rather not join issues with people whose status I'm still uncertain about.
Yeah, because if that sometimes what is this the situation in River State is described as the theater of the absurd. The reason why it's described that way is that they defected to the APC. Section 109, subsection 1G also was clear about that. But they said due to the position of the secretary also of the PDP is a premise for their defection and all that argument. Some people said they were grasping at straws. They said they had a legitimate reason. They went for this Peace Pact and everybody signed, all the signatures were signed, and the governor began to do certain provisions of the Peace Pact. It feels like the governor has already accepted that, okay, let peace reign, you are members of the assembly. So if he recognizes that they are members of the assembly, if they carry out a threat, wouldn't it be legitimate?
Did he say, I think it's best to go with what the Constitution says? The governor, with all of the best intentions in the world, cannot flout the Constitution, can he?
No, you can't, according to the law. So,
and I think that we are law-abiding people in River State, and I know that Channels Television would not want us to deviate from obeying the provisions of the law, would you?
No, we're not the one in contention here. It's the Rivers politicians. You guys were, my apologies. Everyone was, our job is to bring it to the fore, set the agenda, provide context. So don't bring us into your fight. We have no place in this fight. We're just presenting the case as it is. The other argument is the fact that when the 800 billion naira budget was presented to the assembly, it was presented to a House of 4, led by the now Chief of Staff, Edison Ehie. And they are insisting that 4 people in 24 hours cannot sit down and sign an appropriation or approve an appropriation, a spending limit of 800 billion for that millions of people in the state when the House is composed of over 30 people. I needed your comment on that one.
The problem is, as at the time this happened, was there a properly constituted House of 20, what did you say?
32.
I think the courts are probably the best people to interpret it, because from where I'm sitting, and if I recall, the budget was passed to what was the House of Assembly at the time.
I didn't get that.
I'm saying that the budget, which is in contention, was it presented to the House of Assembly that was the House of Assembly at that time? You would recall that at this time, the people you're talking about had already resigned from the PDP, and so could not effectively have been considered members of the House of Assembly, again, following the Constitution.
So what do you think is the future of all, because to the ordinary, these are politicians doing politics and playing politics. One other concern now, which is worrying, is the fact that the governor has come out to say the PDP, without his contribution, according to him, they set up a caretaker committee across the local government, across the wards, so I stand to be corrected. And he said that cannot stand because the House of Assembly, yet again, this House of Assembly that you are unsure of how to describe them, have passed legislation literally stripping the governor's power to carry out certain things or certain authority that is initially was put on the governor before, thanks to the amendment of the Local Government Act. But now they have gone on, not the assembly this time, the party structure has gone on to say there are new caretaker committees. When we understand that the National Working Committee has said, let the former ESCO stay for another 3 months. Don't you see that something is happening around the governor that may sweep him if he's not careful?
So, you know, at the end of the day, honestly, nobody can be bigger than Rivers people. I like this adage that says that if one man cooks for the village, the entire village can finish it. But if the village cooks for one man, it better be ready. So I really think that it's important sometimes that we all remember this adage, whether we're politicians or business people, whatever it is that we are. But having said that, quite frankly, I don't like the issues of conjecturing. I like us to stay with what the facts are, what the law is. I do not think that the legislature can afford to want to be both legislature and executive. I have never seen this happen. That's why I'm kind of concerned about the texture and nature of this. Is this a legislative arm? Are these people even House of Assembly members? Are they just some bystanders who are having a conversation? Until we are sure who we are dealing with, it's difficult to proceed with a conversation because the Constitution is clear. And, I think that when in doubt, it's always better to refer to what the law says.
Ms. Seminary, as
and
we
I
round
also
off,
think that it's
my apologies,
yes.
because I understand we have less than 2 minutes. As we round off, there was the Constitution, there will always be the Constitution, which is our ground norm, but these politicians sat down together and found a political resolution that is still causing chaos, which is why we are having this conversation today. The first conversation we had, when it comes to this issue, and we, at least what we heard in public was the fact that don't touch my structure. And now the issue of structure has come back again, which is why we are making this a conversation. So, in
only
closing,
that democracy is government of the people, by the people, and for the people.
If you were to advise
government of a few, by one or two people, and for one person.
If you were to advise
democracy is. So ultimately, the will of the people must prevail. And I'm not sure if there was a referendum where Rivers people were asked their views. What's that?
Finally, if you were to talk to Governor Siminalayi Fubara, given what is going on, what will you tell him?
I'll ask him to stay focused, to continue to deliver to Rivers people the reason for which they voted him. Rivers people didn't vote him for any shenanigans. They voted him to give them electricity, to give them education, health, and enable them survive. Look, life is tough enough as it is. We really don't need politicians making it tougher for us.
Well, that is what politicians do, and you're on Politics Today. That's why we talk politics. We hope that everybody finds peace.
You guys?
Everybody finds peace at the end. Nobody wants trouble. But when these things are happening, we have to bring it in focus. We must thank you, Ibim Sementari, former Commissioner for Information, as well as former Managing Director of the Niger Delta Development Commission, for your perspective on the political embroglio in Rivers State. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having us, and keep doing a good job. And please, my sympathies and apologies for the unfortunate incident with your correspondent.
It will be resolved. We appreciate your concern. Thank you.